Hey, thank you, Matt. We're back at Mr. Bill's on a 92.9 Lake on PokeCast. Justin Hill is our second guest tonight. Will Wade will follow. The abuse will follow soon after. Okay, Coach, so when did you guys become strikeout kings?
I don't know. It's we threw the ball over the plate last night. Our guys did a great job of throwing the ball over the plate, and good things happen when you do that.
6-1 to start, the best start you've ever had here. But more importantly, I think the pitching that has come around, it's not just the one game. It was all weekend. You finished with, you have 79 strikeouts for the year. I think it's 11.4 a game, something like that I did the math on for the stories today. And the interesting thing to me is the left-handers with power pitching, we haven't seen here in a long time the numbers of lefties. How happy are you with left-handers?
Very happy with left-handers. Here's the deal: if you want to win, consistently, you got to have good pitching because that means you're in every single ball game. So our guys have done a great job. Peyton McLemore has been such a great addition to get him to come back, and like I said, we've been in every ball game. The one we lost, we had a chance to tie the ball game late, and again, if those guys keep throwing up zeros, we got a chance.
The one thing that when you came into this, you didn't know a lot about your pitching staff. You didn't know a lot about your team. You didn't know a lot about your pitching staff, especially. You were looking for guys to set up certain roles. Alexis seems to have taken the Friday night. Sergio Lopez, who leads the country in WHIP at .22, and it's early, but he looks like he could be a closer. You found, it looks like last night, a lot of guys that could work for that bridge-type opportunity to get you in the late innings. How important was it to kind of establish not only the 8 guys coming in last night to beat UL, which I'm sure makes everybody feel good here, USL, whoever you want to call them, but how much is it to just find some arms back there to say I can trust them and I want to see some more of that?
The natives are restless around here.
They don't like when
They don't like that.
If you don't call them USL, they go crazy.
Yeah, it was good to see the arms go. We haven't had a chance to see them. I mean, that was the first live action, to play a bullpen game. And I've said this before: if they're throwing bullpen games in the World Series, you're going to have it in college baseball. You got to just wrap your head around it. And I thought our guys did as good of a job as you could. We saw what we can do. Will we run that and do that every time? No. I mean, sometimes the ball's going to fall. Sometimes you're not going to get all the, through all the strikes. But we played really well last night, and that just kind of goes to show you what we can do on the mound.
I think the fact that everybody came in throwing strikes was really good to see, because sometimes you'll have guys come in and you may have 8 pitchers and 6 of them pitch really well, but 2 guys struggle. You had 8 guys come in and really throw strike 1 almost right away. That seems to be a message coming from the bullpen guys, is that's our job, is to pitch strike 1.
Strike 1, get the leader, and it all starts with the first guy. Diego came out and gave us a great start, and it's really about momentum once you happen that. When they kind of fed off each other. There was some great energy. Everybody's pulling for each other. Like, I don't think anybody cared who got the win last night as long as we did.
Yeah, Diego came in, freshman from Barb. He comes in, walks a couple guys in the first inning, I think he was a little bit jittery, and then he kind of settled in.
That when he walked a couple guys, I was a little jittery too.
But he really came in through strikes after that. But one thing is, I did have to ask you this, is I got to the park, I looked at your lineup, a lot of weird things going on in your lineup last night.
Yep.
Then you said 10 guys were out. How is your health right now going into Nicholls?
We lost 3 more today. We're down two more coaches right now as well. I think we'll have some guys back by Friday. Thank goodness we've got an extra day. They've kind of put our trainer Josh Paul through the ringer. It's been tough, but we're doing all the things that we need to do, and practice was pretty short today. Not from we covered as much as we could, but just didn't have a lot of guys there.
But it does show how versatile some guys are. You were able to put guys out there, and realistically, you got a couple of transfers. Larry Edwards, also Marcus Huson, that have really contributed with big hits. Not a lot of hits, not a lot of runs, but big runs the other night. Last night, Marcus with the big hit. 2 walk-offs before that. You're getting big hits at big times.
Well, it goes back to the pitching. When you're in the ball game, you have a chance. When you're doing that early on, the wind's blowing in and everything. If you can keep the game close, you got a chance to win that ball game. Plus, we've been playing well at home. and we hope to continue that this weekend against Nicholls.
Yeah, you get a lot of home games. All right, let's get into this conference thing because a lot of people have asked me, how do they know what they are yet? You had 5 weeks last year.
Right.
You have 2 weeks this year. One of your non-weekend games gets rained out. So you've had 7 games. How much do you still know of this team? And how much are you going to have to learn as you go?
Well, I mean, we've been around each other since August, so we have a good idea. But you don't really know what you've got until you start playing. You know, do you believe in yourself? But last night was a big deal. You can't create that that type of adversity. You can't fabricate that type of adversity that we had last night. And I think I mentioned it last night. I've seen that happen a lot. Like people step up, injuries, illnesses, whatever it is. I've seen that. But maybe they haven't, but they saw that, and that's got a chance to really galvanize a team.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool to see last night. I was happy for our guys.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to have happen, but it might be the best thing come away from it is the fact that you got to see that. They got to understand that they can do this in adverse situations, that it's not a one group of guys thing. It's everybody that has to pull together.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really – the guys aren't really concerned about who gets credit right now. You can really see that with the group. I mean, nobody really cared who got the win, who gets the hit. They're just excited about each other's success, and that's a big deal. I mean, they've become a great team.
When you put a bullpen game together and you're planning it out, and then you find out the day of the game the first guy can't go,
Sure.
How much does that change everybody?
It was really about getting to certain guys. We kind of had it lined out on who was going to throw if the game was in leverage, and we had those conversations, prior to the game. We weren't going to stretch anybody out. We obviously want to be ready for conference, so you'll see that a few more times. But it's nice when the first thing you put up on the board works.
And how much is it that your first guy goes on and gives you 2 innings?
That was great, and I think you really set the tone. It was a little bit different, and nobody saw the same guy, throughout the whole game. I mean, we got Diego after 2 innings and one time through the lineup, and then after that, nobody got to see the same guy.
I know for the people in here, it's special because it was beating USL. But for you, is that still the rivalry game? I mean, midweek games are always different. But the fact that you're not into conference yet, did that kind of make it a little bit more fiery?
Let me say this, and I told my wife about this morning, and this was so cool to be able to see because it really didn't settle in because it happened, and then I was like, when I sat back, I was like, okay, that was pretty good. So, look, I like to win. It doesn't matter who we're playing, what we're playing, anything like that. I like to win. But there were so many people that were just they like us to win, but they're so happy when we beat the Cajuns. Like that's the thing. So it's one thing to win. It's another thing to win and beat those guys. And so, I mean, my respect for them and the people that are there. But I mean, you can love the people and hate the jersey. So I think we're good on that right now.
The conference going into after last weekend, as a baseball conference, was 50-26, playing some good competition. What does that say about this conference? Because I think the conference is going to be quite a fight week in and week out, but that really seemed like you've taken down some big schools.
It's always that's what this conference is. It's a fist fight every weekend, 2 out of 3 sweeps, whatever it is. I mean, every game's going to be tough. I mean, and now we've got 30 games versus 24. It was that way last year. I mean, Lamar, they won 44 games, whatever it was. Well, they had to walk us off twice. I mean, last year, and just so you get to see it's a tough conference. Everybody knows, and so it's not necessarily games that separate you. It's plays, it's runs, it's situations and moments.
The conference now, though, with 30 games, how does that change? Does that change you as a coach because it's still weekend to weekend, or do you look bigger picture? How do you take the first few games? I mean, you're still going to be developing arms. You're still going to have to give innings. You're still going to have to do things that you wouldn't normally do in a conference.
Yeah, I think you're just trying to figure out who you are still a little bit, and we're still trying to work up pitch counts. We're not quite there. Thank goodness the weather's turned, so you're not as concerned about that. I mean, last week, Lexi Gravel's throwing in, 40-degree weather. Now this week he's going to be throwing 75-degree weather. That's a little bit different story. So we'll see how it goes, how it works out. We don't know a lot about the Nicholls team that we're playing, and that's okay as long as we find out a little bit more about ourselves and try to score one more run than they do.
Well, he's from Canada.
Yeah,
he's used to some cold. He admitted he's used to some cold weather.
He is, but he said he didn't play in this.
No, he did.
Yeah,
that surprised me a little bit that was the coldest game he ever played it because
Yep.
they play in summer ball there in high school. Talk to me a little bit about Dow. He's one of those kids that have kind of developed and keep coming, keep getting a little better. Has a little bit of everything in his game. Showed a little bit of power already this year. What's he kind of meant? Because he's hitting 375 he at the bottom of the order. He's really kind of turned the order over.
That's the thing. The lineup. I mean, it's there's no really weak point in the lineup when we've got everybody. And he's done a great job. I mean, the shortstop's a tough position. You get most balls. He's going to have his own. There's challenge in making all those plays, but he's done a good job of handling that. He's a third-year player. But it goes back to the point of development. Guys get better when they're here. And you've seen that with Westenberg. You've seen that with Larinaga. You've seen that with Alexi. And you see all those guys. So we're trying to speed up the process a little bit, with the shorter time that we have with these guys.
Yeah, the thing you did last night was you gave the catcher credit, which I always appreciate. But you gave the catcher credit because he called the game. He did a lot of things in that. How important is Grant to you guys as far as just a calming influence when you're bringing in 8 different pitchers? That's a lot of different personalities to deal with in a short period of time.
He's got such a slow heartbeat, and he's a high character kid, but there's a lot to be said for him. I mean, he's one of everybody's favorite players. You can't say enough good things about Grant Manger and what he's done. So you root for him in every way that you can.
And I will admit, he impresses me with the fact that it was 30 degrees. It was rainy the other day. The wind was blowing in. He wore short sleeves.
No, he's tough.
I'm impressed by that.
He's a tough guy.
I wouldn't do that.
I know.
You see your guys got your jersey on that you brought
it looks great. He won the contest last week.
And look at that. He's right here.
I know. He's got it. So.
He's sitting right here for you. Okay, with the left-handers, something you haven't had in a long time to start. You started 3 left-handers the first weekend. Do you like starting 3 left-handers? Do you like to break it up? Do you like to keep one more lefty in the bullpen for long relief? I know you don't announce a Sunday starter. I assume that could be Jake Blackwell. It could be somebody else, depending on how the first 2 games go. Do you like going 3 lefties?
I mean, if we can, that works out. But look, it's about setting yourself up to try to win the series. And the best way for us to win the series is throw Alexi game 1, Cooper Golden game 2, and then have all those guys available in the most high leverage points. And that goes to show you what Paul Coppinger did. Gave us 5 strong innings on Sunday. So we have some versatility in our staff, and we tell those guys be ready. That's what you got to do.
Now the fact that you have left-handers in the bullpen.
It's very exciting.
How much happier are you as far as managing your bullpen? Because sometimes you only had the one bullet out there.
Yeah, I mean, Barney Fife. Not everybody knows who that is, but I mean, if you only got one bullet, you got to shoot at the right time. But look, they've all worked hard, and like I said, Peyton McLemore's done a great job with our pitching staff and getting them to believe. And I think you'll see a few more times we'll run out of bullpen like we did last night.
The home runs, usually they come more when it gets warmer. You've hit a couple of big ones, though. Do you expect more home runs as the weather heats up and the wind kind of shifts around, and then you kind of got to work your pitching a little differently?
I think it could happen, certainly. We've got some big, strong guys in our lineup. So, I mean, we've hit a couple of balls that probably would have been out of the ballpark. Maybe the other team has. But, hey, you got to play where the ballpark is. You just never know how that's going to work.
Well, your ballpark, more than anyone in the league, plays to weather, it seems. When the wind's blowing in, it plays very, very long. But when the wind's blowing out, it can play small. How do you adjust that as a coach? Are you going to have changed lineups or?
Sometimes you can from a lineup standpoint, but it actually affects sometimes how you pitch. Because usually there's a little bit of relief somewhere in the ballpark. And so we don't probably overthink it too much. They got to play it the same way. If you start thinking about that, you could probably overthink yourself right there.
One question I did get this weekend: why the 4 o'clock start on Sunday?
You know what? We're following what the conference did with basketball and having the Monday, kind of an exclusive broadcast window. If you go and look, there's only like 4 or 5 games that are going on at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. So we hope to get a little bit more attention. A little bit more attention on there on ESPN Plus.
Friday night, 6 o'clock at Joe Miller Ballpark. McNeese opens the conference. We're still in February, Coach. You're opening the conference still in February. That's an amazing thing. When we come back, Will Wade will be our guest. Or will be your guest. I ain't going to be my guest.